Who's introing, me or you?
You can go this time.
Ooh. Hey guys, how's it going? Chris from Average Eskate Reviews here, and today in this video we're going to be taking a look at numerous different topics, but one of the things that we wanted to discuss was the main question I see coming up in comments, in inbox messages, emails. I'm about to get my first electric skateboard. Which one should I buy? It's such an open-minded, open-winded question. It's a loaded question. There's so many ways that you can answer a question like that, but you can't really give an accurate answer without knowing more about the person and what they need. So we're going to be touching on that in this video. Sound good?
Yeah. So I think like when it comes to in terms of buying your first electric skateboard, there's just so many variables that you need to consider. What do you intend to use the board for in the first place? Where are you riding the board?
Budget.
I mean, there's just a million and one questions that you need to answer really in terms of what board to buy for your first board. So
what do you think is the most important one, the first one that we should touch on?
I think the first one's the price, really.
Fair, okay.
I mean, how much have you got to spend on a board?
Fair.
Because if you've got a lot of money, then just go out and buy the best board you can.
Yeah.
Buy the best board out there, and then that's going to pretty much fulfill most of your needs, isn't it?
But what is the best board out there?
Well, I don't know. There is a lot of good boards out there.
Comes down to your needs again.
Yeah, again, needs, personal preference, just like the look of the board. That has a big impact on your choice of board.
So I think if it was me, and I will mention, I'll link a video down below. It was filmed just when I started the YouTube channel about skateboards, but there is a video that I put together. Watch this before you buy your first electric skateboard that kind of touched on these points. But I think the first one is definitely establishing the budget. Of course, is important because you could establish all of your needs, and it turns out the board you need costs $2,000. Which, if that's out of your budget, it doesn't matter. So once you've established this is the maximum I'm comfortable to spend, I think from there it's going to be what you need the board for. Is it a commuter board? Is it to get you 20 miles across a city? Is it to just get you across campus? Is it for fun? And that helps you to be able to reel in, going through the selection of different boards that are out there, helps you reel in which one is going to be the most logical one for you to pick up.
Suitable for yourselves, yeah.
How much money you have to spend on the board is number one. And then what range you need the board to do. And what we mean by this, if you're looking to buy a board, let's say your budget hypothetically is about £900 and you need a board to be able to do 15, 20 miles. That eliminates a lot of boards that are out there. If you want a board that can do that sort of range on one charge, there's only a few good models that are out there that can do that.
Yeah, you're going to be paying well over the £1,000 mark there if you want a board that's going to be doing that type of range.
Exactly. So that helps you to narrow down. You kind of have to do a process of elimination when you're buying a board. You need to work out the budget, then you need to work out what you need it for. Because you need to think about if the roads that you're riding on suck, then if a board only has street wheels, or if a board only has hub motors, which means the rear wheels are very thin because the motors are in the rear wheels, those might not be optimal for the places that you need to ride. So you might need to consider getting a board that has all-terrain wheels. And then it goes even deeper than that. Do you want all-terrain wheels that have air, which, inner tubes, which are very comfortable? Yeah. Or do you want the ones that are much harder, that you don't have to worry about replacing the inner tube or checking air pressure, but obviously then you compromise a bit on the comfort of the ride. They don't have as much grip. There's so many different elements you need to work out. But as you break down that list of what you're riding on, how much money you have to spend, what range you need, then you can look at your size. How big are you? Yeah. Do you need a traditional longboard? Do you need a carbon fiber deck? Do you want a bamboo deck? All of these elements need to be considered.
I mean, there's so many different variables, isn't there?
For sure. So I think that's the best advice we can give with that question. It's break down that list of, your requirements and then do like a process of elimination. And what you'll find is it's very easy to, after you isolate all of the points that you need for a board that works for you, you'll find out which board you have. So if you went online and picked, 10 really good boards that are out there that you've seen being reviewed by lots of people on YouTube, and you lined them up and you did the whole process of elimination thing, when you get to the end and you've kind of like ticked off the list of everything you needed to do, you'll only be left with a few choices.
That's it.
And then you can work out which one's going to be the most cost-effective one for you to grab because it will have everything that you need. So I think that's maybe a good way of doing it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way that you can go about choosing your first board. Obviously, if you've got the money to just go out there and buy one of the high-end boards anyway, just go out and buy one of the high-end boards. It's going to do everything that you need it to do, essentially. Mm-hmm. But if you haven't, and like Chris just said, you're going to have to go through process of elimination, ticking boxes that meet your needs, and whatever you're left with at the end of it is essentially the board that you're going to have to go for your first board, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'm going to try and list them all off so people can note them down if you need them. So it's going to be your budget. It's going to be the terrain that you're riding on, if it's going to be rough roads, which will help you decide if you want street wheels or all-terrain wheels. From there, it'll be maybe your size. So you might need to get a board that is very stiff and supportive, that has a wider foot stance or foot base for you to plant your feet down. So that might come in to question if it's going to be a bamboo deck or if it's going to be a carbon deck. And I guess from there, then it will be things like, you could even go down the road of, do you need a board that's sealed? So if you're riding in crap weather, like, wet, it's not going to...
Belt or hub motors.
Yeah, then you go down the list of belt or hub motors. Do you need because that's a completely separate subject that we could touch on. Yeah, range as well. You need to obviously consider what type of range that you need to be able to do. Hopefully these points will help you to be able to see which board ticks the most boxes for you and is the one that you should get. But it makes sense to just roll straight off into this one. Hub motor versus belt.
That's just like one of those ones where we rode a lot of hub motors, and you've done a lot of belt-driven ones as well.
For sure.
I've never ever tried the direct drive, so I'd like to actually try that.
I'm not interested in that.
I don't know. I'd like to definitely try it and see what they're like.
I've seen the motors are like... If that was my board, if I show you what my Stoke looks like, the bash guard, those direct drive motors would be destroyed the first time I took it out the way I ride. Because I come off curbs diagonally. You mash the motors.
A lot of them are on big boards, aren't they? The long boards and stuff like that, like the same size as like the Evolve boards and stuff. You can always... I don't even know if you could get a bash guard to fit that. I think actually I have seen on AliExpress, I was on there the other night just searching through generic skateboard parts and come across actually a bash guard kit. So whether that would fit on there or not is another matter, but there's products out there that you can look and buy to be able to fit onto different boards. But the direct drive is, it's a tricky one. Whether it's a good method of being able to drive your electric skateboard or run the electric skateboard is another matter. But I still think, it's one that I'd like to try out just to see what the power's like. Is it more powerful than a belt-driven one?
Yeah, I will preface this by saying neither of us have any experience with direct drive. Neither of us have ridden a direct drive board. So I would be like looking forward to doing one, but I don't mind hub. The problem is all-terrain wheels. I don't just mean with Evolve. I mean all-terrain wheels in general have really added a lot of bias to the way that we look at street wheels in general now.
Yeah,
that's fair to say, right?
Oh, 100%. We was only saying about it the other day, weren't we? We was like, now I've tried the all-terrain wheels. Going back to riding street wheels is just like. It's one of those things, it's like so hard.
Yeah.
Because with the all-terrain wheels, you can just ride as much as you want and not have to worry about what you're going over or what you're coming off the curbs or anything like that. You don't have to worry about things like that. You're just more focused on the actual riding the skateboard and it's more fun. Whereas when you're on the street wheels, you always got to be more cautious of what you're going over, what the road's like, where you're riding.
Even like cycle paths, when you have like one side of the cycle path will be for pedestrians to walk and the other side will be for people on bikes.
Yeah.
The little paintings of the walking people and the bikes, you hit that while you're carving on street and you'll lose it. Like the board will skits out or slide out a few mil. It's a negligible amount if you look at it in terms of the road and the board, but you feel it.
Yeah.
And that's enough to throw you off balance if you're not expecting it.
Exactly.
I do love, because it's when you switch from all-terrain to street, especially the 107s, in comparison to the 6-inch ATs, like the torque you have in comparison.
That's it. The torque, the top
brakes,
speed.
Yeah, the top speed.
The top speed's phenomenal. If only you could get that fast, like 28 to 30 miles an hour on an all-terrain board.
Yeah,
you'd
awesome. Even need to consider what you'd get.
I wouldn't even ever go back to streets again.
But the weather's been nice. In the UK for literally the last few weeks, it's been somewhere between sort of the 20 and maybe say 15 to 20 degrees Celsius.
It's been nice.
So it's been nice to be able to put the street on and actually go out and have some fun with them, because normally it's a bit slimy in the UK. It's always damp, so you just always default to...
If it's slightly damp or anything like that, with the AT wheels, you don't even have to consider going out with damp weather. You still they just grip for days. Whereas, like you said, you went out on the 107s or any other make wheel from another electric skateboard manufacturer, as long as it's a street wheel, you go out and there's a tiny little bit of damp on the ground there, you're just going to slide about everywhere.
It's all it takes. Even dust, if there's too much dust on the ground.
And it just takes the fun out of it. Then you've got to be more cautious about not falling off the board and worrying more about not falling off than just ripping about and having a good time on it, for me personally anyway.
But when we were riding things like the X-Ways a lot, and you were riding the X-Way X1 a lot, I was riding the Boost Board Stealth, that's all we knew.
Yeah, that's all we knew, so we didn't even question it. It was fun, but we had fun then, didn't we?
But you had to be cautious.
We always had fun.
Yeah.
But you still had to ride cautious in certain parts where we was riding.
Not anymore.
But now it's just like, if I'm going out, I'm taking the ATs with me. I don't care.
No, I get that. But coming back to the thing about hub and belt-driven motors, if we're to try and summarize it for people that are listening to the podcast, watching the podcast, that don't really know much about the differences between the two, one of the things that I dislike about hub motors is the limitations with the wheel options you have.
Yeah.
If you look at a board like the X-Way, it's a phenomenal board, especially for the money. We've said this so many times. If you're looking at a board at the price mark of the X-Way X1 Pro, which is roughly $799.
With the flex.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Roughly about $799 last time I looked in terms of in the UK. There isn't another board at that price point that compares.
No.
Like, I don't think there is.
No.
But the issue with the belt-driven question versus the hub is the rear wheels where the hub motors are so thin.
Yeah.
So if you're riding on crap roads, it's, it affects how much you can carve, how much grip you have, how long the urethane on the wheels will last before it starts cutting, chipping and breaking
definitely.
away. So that's always a consideration. But obviously the maintenance and how sealed the motors are is much better. If you're flying off of curbs with an X-Way, you don't really have to worry about, am I going to clip the motors? If it's a bit slimy outside, you don't have to worry about anything getting kicked up into the belt system.
Yeah, true.
Whereas the belt system, you have to do a lot more maintenance. You have to switch out the belts themselves. You have to make sure every now and then you have to take it apart, make sure there's no debris caught inside it. There's just so many other things you have to consider.
There is, but I think that's one of the fun parts of having an electric skateboard, is taking it apart and putting it back together.
I have literally just been able to get over the slump of changing my bushings. Let me explain this. I'm the type of guy that, when you buy furniture and the people deliver it and they give you the option to pay extra and they'll assemble it for you, that's me. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's mounting a TV, if it's switching out a battery on a board, I don't like doing that kind of stuff. So every time somebody hits me up with the whole, oh, Chris, are you going to go custom board now because you've got a few selections of boards but you've never made one? I am never going to make a custom board.
I am.
I don't know, something's getting passed outside, it's massive. Okay, that's gone now. I am never going to make myself a custom board. I'm likely to get parts and beg Ricky to make it for me. That's as close as I'd get to building one, but it's not for me, it's not my thing.
Yeah, well, I'm the other way around, you see. I'd rather just build something. So, if I see a space in my house and it's like a wasted space, I could think, well, what could I build a unit in there or something like that to be able to add more storage that fits in there, so it's like a custom build. Whereas the same with electric skateboards, if I could get the parts and do my research and stuff like that, I'd love to build a custom board that does AT wheels, does 40 miles an hour plus, and does about 20 odd miles range. That'd just be the ultimate board for me. Especially I'd like to use one of the old GT or GTX decks from Evolve, and then because there's so many parts out there on the internet that's custom made for that board, it'd be great to just get some bits in and be able to make a custom board like that.
My emails are just flying in. I might have to turn it off. I didn't think it was going to be popping like that. But I get the allure and I get the appeal of being able to look at a board that you really like that's in retail, and then take all the best elements from it and then add everything that's missing from it, in your opinion. But saying that, I'm good.
I will do one. I am definitely going to do a custom build at some point.
I'll do one too. I mean, Ricky will do one for me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like I was saying the other day, as soon as I do a custom build and I'm getting more range than you, I'm faster than you, and I've got the ATs on it and everything, you are just going to be like, I can't have that.
Yeah.
I can't have you ripping around faster than me.
I'll need one too.
Yeah, you'll have to have one as well. So then, you are definitely going to do one at some point.
I think the best way to do it is when you buy your parts, just get two.
Yeah.
Just get two of everything. And then we can build.
It's one of those ones that's a process that you have to go through, especially when you're new to sort of custom building things. I don't know hardly anything about it. So it's choosing the right motors, the right battery pack, the right ECU, and then wiring it all together. So it is it's quite a complex thing if you're not into electronics or know anything about that type of thing. But there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet where you can learn from, and a lot of people that are doing good builds that you can learn from as well.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's people that are listening or watching this podcast that have done something similar, so they'd be able to be hey, this is what you need to consider, this is where you need to start.
So if anybody out there knows how to build a board that, like I said, does 40 miles an hour plus, can run 80 wheels and do about 20 miles range, then I'd be more than happy. So let me know in the comment section, please.
So going from there, something I will preface this, I should have said this at the beginning of the podcast, but here we are somewhere in the middle of it. We have essentially a line of questioning that we wanted to ask each other.
Yeah.
But neither of us has any idea what the questions are going to be. So the idea behind that is that we can't prepare. We can't, research or look into answers to make sure we say something that's correct or something that doesn't sound too harsh for somebody else to listen to. It's just going to be raw. But do you want to kick off the questions that you've got for me? Do you remember?
First question I've got for you.
You don't even need to look at your phone or anything.
No.
Jeez, okay.
No, I've got it all in my head, mate. Up here for thinking, down there for dancing. But the first question is, how did you first get into electric skateboards?
Pretty good question. Okay. Oh, man, I don't know if I can answer that. I'm going to have to bleep that now. So this would have been a few summers ago, maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, roughly. I can't remember exactly when. It would have been the year Slick Revolution started. So that if you can Google that and you see when they started making boards, that's when I first started riding electric skateboards. I was driving my car. I was late. Please don't judge me. I'm going to get judged for this. Like a train crossing. Let me explain it. So it just started flashing. The barriers hadn't started moving. It wasn't one of those ones where the barriers could not have been working. It literally just started flashing. And I was, in my opinion, I was going too fast to try and slam my brakes on to stop. So I blew past it. After I got past it, got probably, I don't know, half a mile down the road. Then the barriers closed.
You mean it's one of those train crossings?
Yeah, like train crossing.
You're not supposed to go over.
Yeah.
Well, one of them ones that if you you go over it, you could get hit by a train. One of those ones. You didn't seriously cross one of those, did you?
Yeah. Oh my God, yes, Ricky, I did. So what happened? Long story short, I got suspended from driving for 28 days or 26 days. I can't remember how long it was, and it was right at the start of the summer. And I was sitting there thinking, like, what the hell am I going to do to get around? And I was like, do you know what? I've seen these electric skateboards all over YouTube. I thought, sod it. If I'm stuck and I can't use my car, let me just get one of these boards. It's only for a month. We'll see what happens. And that's how it started. Got my first board, which is the Slick Revolution Flex. It even wasn't that. I think it was the original. It was a single motor board with a brown deck. And I rode that around. That's how I got to work. That's how I got to the grocery store to get groceries. It's how I got around. And even after the 28 days, I enjoyed it so much that when they dropped the first flex board, I got that as well. Yeah. And that's what I was using to get around. And that's kind of how I got bit by the bug for electric skateboards. And since then, and I've not stopped.
Crazy.
Yeah. What about yourself? What got you into it?
No, you got me into it, didn't you? The first time, I can't remember what it was now, but I think the first time I actually had a go on one.
Do you remember the story?
The first time I actually had a go on one was when we was round your house, and I think it might have been one of your kids' birthdays.
Yeah.
So we was round there, and then I think Tyler had one of those.
Reference: Tyler is Ricky's son.
He had one of those hoverboards you stand on, but he had a little go-kart attachment to it, didn't he?
I remember that.
And he was ripping it up and down the road, and then you got your board out and was like, oh, have a go on this. So I just went up and down. I was like, oh, that's cool. But then what was the second time when I really had a proper go on it? Was that when we was at a barbecue or something like that? And we just chipped off from the family barbecue?
Yes. Yeah.
And then we come here, and then I had to climb through the window because
we left the key.
Because there was no key. Yeah, we left the key.
We left the key.
And then we got a board, didn't we? And then we went out on it straight away, and we was going down the back roads in Cambridge where there's like all these cattle grids and cycle paths and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember you just shot straight through there, and then I come behind you.
And you went the wrong way.
And you was like, no, the other way. And I just went straight into a cattle grid and just Superman.
I remember
that, yeah. And then as soon as I Supermaned off that board and just fell on the floor and cut myself, I was like, this is sick.
And that's what bit you.
Yeah. And then we just ripped about them all night for the rest of the evening. It's a nice summer's evening, just flying about on the boards, and then that just got me hooked on them from that.
I've got to tell a story about. Do you remember how we got the Evolve boards?
Oh yeah,
that was reckless.
Yeah, it was reckless. I'm just really
impulsive.
Spare of the moment. Yeah, spare of the moment thing.
We had a meeting for a project in London. We're filming a project with a company, a media company in Kenya on FMG. Very, very random, but it came in through a connect through the hockey tutorial side of things that we do. And we took a meeting in central London. I think it was on Oxford Street. And the weather was really, really nice, but we were quite late for the meeting. So we jumped on a train from Cambridge, went straight into central London with no boards because we were late. We didn't have time to stop at the office and grab them. And when we got into London, the weather was amazing. It was a time of the year that the weather shouldn't have been nice, but it was like 20 degrees. Everyone was in their T-shirts. And we were sat there the whole day sitting there thinking, I wish I bought the skateboards. And we're like, let's just go get the meeting done. We'll go have some food. We'll have a couple drinks and then we'll go home.
Yeah.
And we stepped out of the meeting, went across the road, and somebody went past us on an electric skateboard. And at that point, I was just like, no, screw this, I'm done.
Oh, God.
Pulled out my phone and I typed in electric skateboard store London and then found Wick. Didn't even know it existed.
This brings us on to our next sponsor, Wick Skateboard Store.
And legit, they're not even a sponsor, but it sounds like such a hard plug. And we jumped in an Uber immediately, went straight to Wick. And what I had in my mind at this point, I had a Boost It Stealth, you had the X-Way,
Yeah.
but you were really eyeing up the GTR Carbon.
I've always wanted an Evolve. Ever since I saw the first Evolve with them gold motors on and stuff like that, I've always wanted one. And then when they brought the GTR out, I was like, yeah, I really want that board. And
Yeah.
you was just going to get another boosted board,
I was stupidly, I was like, I'm just going to get another Boost It board because they're really in demand. I can just sell it afterwards and make some money back from it. So that's what we were going to do. And we ended up getting there. And I don't know what happened, but we were like, oh, maybe we were making videos at this point, but not very many on the channel. And I was thinking, well, if you get the Carbon and I get the Bamboo, the GTRs, we could do a video on each of them and then I'll just sell the GTR afterwards.
Yeah.
And we went in, bought 2 of these boards, like completely randomly off the cuff, and jumped on them and just went for a little rip around the area. And I hated it.
The thing is as well, because they're quite expensive, and I went out on the ATs because my board had the ATs already set up.
I think I went for the street, didn't I?
And you went for the street, but I went out on the ATs, come back and was like, no, I want the street kit, which was like another couple £100 or whatever it was.
And you got that?
And then I got the street kit, and now I don't use the street kit, I just use the ATs. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I should have just not even bothered with the street kit in the first place.
I think that was the most impulsive thing that we've ever done in regards to like being in London and skateboards or YouTube or anything like that. Everything we do is planned at least 24 hours in advance. But this time it was just we
Nice
just had
day,
to do it.
we was in London.
Wanted boards.
Oh, the GTRs have not been long out as well.
No, they hadn't
so it was
been.
like, oh,
And I got the last Bamboo. I got the last Bamboo.
Yeah, so it was just like one of those ones like, oh, yeah, we just got to do it.
Yeah, best decision ever. Like, long stories long. Hated it at first, but then after I started to understand, because I kept feeling like when I was carving or trying to carve,
That's it,
like the rear wheels were sliding out, but they weren't sliding out. It was just how the Kingpin trucks, the double Kingpin trucks, acted. And when I kind of twigged, and I was like, oh, these wheels aren't sliding. It's like an extra lean or an extra bit of leverage that you get because of the trucks.
In them, isn't there?
Yeah, the second I understood that and I started to get the motion, just hooked. And now this brings us on to
That's what I was just
about to say
exactly,
about the trucks. Go for it.
Exactly, about bringing it to us. So Kingpins or just regular trucks.
I will never ever go back to regular trucks.
Oh, yeah, same here, man.
I jumped on some the other day and I tried to turn and then fell off.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't fall on the ground.
So stiff.
Yeah, I tried to lean and turn and I had to like jump off the board because I was like, why didn't it turn? It was turning, just not like double Kingpin trucks turning.
And it's one of those things as well. When you first get on double Kingpin trucks, they feel really weird. They don't feel nice at all. Like I was struggling as well with them when I first jumped on them. I was like, I can't get him like right. It's, I'm riding along. I was getting like speed wobbles, and it's really frustrating. It's one of those things that takes time, and you've got to learn how to set them up and tweak them. And once you get them right, and you know like your style of ride, and you've used them a while, like trying to go back to regular trucks is just a big no-no.
Yeah, because if you set your bushings up right, you have the option of making double Kingpin trucks feel like normal trucks. I hear comments about people saying that, oh, they're not good for speed. Double Kingpin trucks aren't good for speed, but you can set them up so they are. I mean, we go like 30 plus miles an hour on ours.
Yeah,
no issue.
I've got mine set up now spot on, so I can like maneuver and turn like as sharp as anything on my carbon deck, because that was one of the big things. Like with the Bamboo deck, you could like your feet are planted and you can lean more on the board, whereas on the carbon deck is a lot flatter, so it's harder to turn. So now I've got them set up with softer bushings in there. I can turn a lot easier, and I've also like tightened my back Kingpin trucks up a little bit tighter than the front, and that I don't get no speed wobbles, flying at full speed, and I can turn really easy on them, so I love them now.
It's just a case of tweaking it to find what works.
It is like one of those ones you have to put a bit of time into actually using those trucks before you actually find the optimal like position for those trucks to be set up. So it's a bit frustrating to start off with, finding the right spot and the right tightness and the right bushing size and stuff like that. But once you do find that, then there's just no way I could go back to any other trucks now.
Yeah, same. I'm pretty hooked.
I mean, I'd ride other skateboards with just normal trucks on there.
Wouldn't be your go-to though.
But it wouldn't be my go-to. Like if there was a board with double Kingpin trucks, I'd pick that over just regular trucks.
Yeah, I'm in this mindset now where like I'm sitting here honestly considering getting rid of my GTR Carbon and getting another Stoke.
That's the thing though, with the Stoke board, it is a fun little board.
Even today, like today we were filming, we've already shot the Stoke review, but we were just getting additional B-roll in a car park.
Yeah.
It was your idea and that was a pretty sick idea. And it was just fun. So much fun just going absolutely mad on that board.
That's it, just like messing about, trying to manual it and go as far as you can, doing your manuals and like hopping down curbs, like you was like popping it over the little bumps in the car park and just sliding it about. There's just so many little things you can do on the board that's just fun. It's just a really fun little board to ride.
For sure. But we'll talk about sliding and stuff. I think we'll save that for a different podcast.
Yeah. That's a whole nother video or podcast in itself, sliding.
Yeah, Ricky, essentially, I've got to give him props for this. It did frustrate me. And he did this because he knew I was at home with my kids and I couldn't go out and ride my board at the time.
I was sliding my carbon with the AT wheels on. Which
you did it you did it the same day you tried it. The first time you tried it, you got it.
I went down to the park. I was bored on my own. And it was a really nice day, so I thought I'll go down up my local park near where I am, the smooth tarmac down there, and I thought I'll try and slide my board out. It was something that I wanted to do, and I thought if I can do it on the AT wheels, then I should be able to do it on any other wheel. So I went down there and I thought the logic behind it was, start on grass, it's slipperier. Done it on the grass, got that down. Then I went onto the tarmac, done it on the tarmac, but obviously I don't want to go too much into detail about it. But what I was doing is I was videoing myself and then just sending little clips to Chris, just to wind him up, because he was trying to do it on the Stoke for so long.
Oh, come on. We did it for like a
couple
days.
Not that long.
Wow.
When I'd been with you, you'd been trying to slide your board out.
Yeah, I did it. I tried like multiple times. Yeah. And I kept getting the 180 and then slipping off of it.
Exactly. So you was nearly there, but not quite there.
I've got it down now, just saying.
You have got it down now. But you was nearly there, but you weren't quite there. So that's why I went down there, done it, and then I was just sending you little clips to be like, yeah, look, I got it in a 180 or the AT wheels.
Yeah, on the hardest possible setup. Look at me do it. It's just like, thanks, mate. Oh man, but what's the moving on swiftly from there? What's the next question?
What are your thoughts on those? I don't even know what they're called, but they're like just one big bicycle wheel when you sit on it and stand on it with 2 feet. Do you know what I mean?
Just no, not for me. Like that is all I can say. No.
Yeah, no. Those things make me sick to watch.
Wow.
Genuinely, when I see one of those things on a video, I'm like, they're just painful, but. Just the way they look.
What about one wheels?
Stand on it. Pardon?
What about one wheels?
I don't like one wheels.
Really?
I hate one wheels.
Have you been serious? I can't tell if you're being serious.
No, I don't really like get the whole concept of it. Like, why would you want to jump on something that's slow, awkward to ride, possibility of like leaning forwards too much and clipping the front and coming off. Just like, I don't really get them, to be honest. Not
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Saying that you don't get them. I've had a go of, I can't remember what it was. I think it's the old one wheel, like one of the first ones that they made. And it was actually pretty good. It was more along the lines of the challenge of learning how to ride it and then getting it down. And it's like, okay, even like just trying to get it started. But it is a bit finicky in comparison to skateboards. And the whole leaning forward thing is definitely, I personally don't think I would spend the money on one. Like how much they cost, there's no way that I'm spending.
That's what I mean. The price, it's not just the price of them for me. It's just like, why would you choose that over like getting an electric skateboard?
I mean, they're tiny and you can literally turn on a dime in them. So stuff like that is kind of cool. It comes down to maybe like what I was saying about the Stoke. Like if I'm going out with my kids, they're on their scooters and their bikes, the one wheel would actually be something pretty cool that you could go out with, because you can fly off of curbs, you can go up crazy hills with it, you can ride up like pretty much anything. Like I saw a guy riding up like basically a fence, like like a low dipped fence that started on it started basically at like curb level.
Yeah,
he hopped onto it with the one wheel and then just started to like ride up, and he's just balancing, riding up it. So seeing that, I was kind of sitting there going like, that is pretty cool. There's no way you could do anything like that on an electric skateboard. But at the same time, I wouldn't spend £1,000+
Yeah, because they're not cheap, are they? They're not. They're not less than £1,000.
I can't remember how much the pint is. I think it's somewhere around the £1,000 mark. I can't remember exactly how much it is, but they're not cheap. Yeah. But again, like the build quality of them, the miles that I've seen people put on these things as well is insane.
Yeah, but I personally, I mean, I've not really looked into it much because they just don't appeal to me. So
I've had a little bit of a look because I've seen people asking me to do like a GTR carbon or bamboo video versus a one wheel, and I don't get that.
No, they're completely two different people that are going to buy those boards.
It's like putting a camera up against a gun. They're literally two different things.
Yeah,
do completely. I know they're both means of transport, and a gun is, and I guess that was a bit of a crap analogy, but I'm normally quite good with analogies, but I messed that one up. But yeah, they're just completely different. I would never be sitting there going, do I get an electric skateboard or do I get a one wheel? It's just not something I'd consider.
Yeah, but same for me. I just wouldn't even. That's why I haven't even looked into them. Just don't appeal to me whatsoever. Fair,
but I am still interested in taking a look at one for a video. I'd like to try and do some form of a subjective video on what the what it's like.
Yeah, I'd probably have a go on it and be like, yeah, that was cool for about 5 minutes, and then be like, yeah, give me my GTR back, please.
Wow. But I'm more open minded than he is. But you know, it's
it's not about being
to
open minded. It's more like I like the rush of the speed of the torque, being able to just like have fun and go fast. Whereas the one wheel would just be too boring for me. It'd be like sticking.
It's more. I guess it's more leisurely. I guess. I mean, I've seen people do trails on them, but I know what you mean. Like going
I
20 miles an hour
I don't
and then
go out
trying
to go on a like leisurely ride. I go out to just have a blast.
Same, like doing 20 miles an hour on the Stoke and then trying to do a 180 at 20 miles an hour and then kick the tail round and keep going. Like that's just fun. Like that's what we did in the car park, and it was.
But don't get me wrong. There's probably
awesome.
some really cool things that you can do on the one wheels, but
not for you.
Know, the whole concept of it is just not for me.
That's fair. I've got a question.
Yeah, have you got any questions then for me?
Yeah, if you could change one thing on your GTR Carbon, which by far is your favourite board, right?
Yeah.
If there's one thing you could change on it, what would it be and why?
Top speed.
That's it?
Yeah, I just like everything else.
So you'd be happy with the range? You just want...
Yeah, I'm happy with the range. It's not very often I ever go out riding and I'm like, oh my God, I've like depleted the whole of my battery. Mm-hmm. So by the time I've got down to that stage anyway, I'm ready to just stop riding because my legs are killing me and I just want to sit down, chill, have some food, stick it back on charge or something like that. But the speed for me, like doing, I think it's 26, but then 26 fully charged, but then it drops down to like 24 after like 5 or 6 miles or something like that. So for me, being able to like get 30 plus miles an hour on that with the AT wheels, then it'd be absolutely spot on for me.
Mine would be the charge time.
Yeah?
If I could change one thing, I'm pretty happy with the speed because like the more I ride, the less I want to go quick and the more I just want to throw the board sideways.
Yeah.
Like that's just what I'm into now. I just want to carve the life out of the board. Like, I mean, I even had to get new 6-inch tires because the ones that I had previously are starting to, you know, see the end of their life.
That's it. And we was talking about that the other day about carving and going in a straight line. And obviously you were saying you love carving, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind carving. Like 5 minutes of that though, and I'm pretty bored of it.
I could literally do it all day.
Yeah, you see,
until my thighs give up. When my thighs are like, no more, Chris, then I'm like, okay.
That's it. Where I'm more of a like, I'd rather like be sliding my board out. I'd rather be going like off road through trails and up banks and trying to jump on my board and get some air.
The off-roading thing and the trails, that's just not for me.
You've never tried it though?
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, but you never know.
I'm not going to say why though, because then people would start to get a real clear image of what I'm like. It's because of the dirt, okay? I don't like the dirt.
It's until you try something like it's like I remember when we first started and we was talking and you was like, oh no, I'm boosted boy, I ain't getting no evolved board, and I'm like, try it mate, you might like it. And obviously you hated it to start off with, but the more you done it, and then you was like, oh, actually, I really love it. The
trails thing, honestly, jokes aside, I don't see myself enjoying the trails thing. It doesn't appeal to me because it's just not the way that I like to ride. Yeah. I want a nice, smooth, wide road in the sun that I can just snake and carve the whole way down that road. Just headphones in, music blasting.
That's it. Whereas for me, like that's cool to do for like 5 minutes, and then I'm bored. I'm like, I need some more.
See, I don't get that. Like that sounds like madness to me.
Yeah, I need something else. I need like something that I can like rip my board and jump over, or I need like a bank I can go up and try and kick the back end out, or just little things like that. And plus, like riding through the woods on a nice summer's day, can't beat it, mate. Listen to them birds tweeting and yeah. Good times.
National Geographic skateboard right here.
Yeah.
No worries, but I think we're going to wrap it up for this podcast. I'm aiming to drop the Stoke video pretty much any time now. So I'll get that uploaded as quickly as possible. By the time that you're watching this podcast, the video on gears, like for Evolve, explaining how the gears work and how they affect you, that will be live. Just make sure that you thumbs up this video. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure that you review it so we can start to grow the podcast and get more listeners and hopefully work our way into getting sponsors for the next podcast episode.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Wix, if you're listening. Got a good sponsor with us.
I'm thinking more like Flatland. Flatland, if you're listening, I'm coming after you guys.
Yeah.
But as always, guys, a big thank you for watching. Do you want to sign out?
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. Take care. Be safe. Peace.
Take care, guys. Till next time. Peace. Cool.
Just ask whatever you'd like me to do.
What's up with Alexa?